Hey everyone, and welcome to another edition of No Questions Left Behind. I'm Sam.
And I'm Stevie.
And we're here to answer all of your questions that we didn't get to during this week's live event. As always, thank you for asking tons of questions. You guys always do a great job. I think, we did a better job that live answering more of your questions during the actual live show there at the end, because I think this is the shortest list of questions we've maybe not ever, but it's one of the shorter lists we've had. So thank you guys as always for asking lots of great questions, and we will get to all of them that we didn't already get to in the live, and maybe even some that we did get to. Just repeat those good questions today. If you haven't already, be sure to go down below and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up on every video and hit the notification bell. If you have a lot of spare time on your hands, you can even go back in our video library and give us thumbs up on all of those videos that you haven't already given us thumbs up on. Helps us out a lot, so please give us all the love you can. And of course, get in the comments section. We're not going to be answering your comments live today, but we will address any good ones that we see in there and maybe save some for a future live event. If you haven't already figured it out, our lives and our social media content is a great way to get on the inside of a lot of new information that we're putting out, new product launches, giveaways, discounts, promotions.
Sales, like 20% off liquids that might be running right now.
That's a good segue. Don't forget the code LIQUID20, that's LIQUID 20, to save 20% off all liquids. That does exclude kits and machines and tools, but all of our liquid car care, whether it be a 16 ounce, 22 ounce, 35 ounce, gallon, whichever size it is, you'll get 20% off using code LIQUID20, LIQUID 20. Get in while you can. I think that's
good through the 25th.
Good through the 25th.
Got a little bit of time, but don't miss out.
Yeah, it's a great time of year. Make sure you're stocked up. You don't want to be out there getting your car prepped for driving in the nice weather and realize you're out of your favorite Griot's Garage product. So make sure you get into that sale.
Yeah, and then our next live is going to be July 17th, or is it 19th?
17th.
17th.
Yes.
And that's going to be covering RV washing and care. So definitely check that one out. That's been pretty requested over the years, but we haven't done it yet, so that's going to be an exciting one.
Yeah, we'll show you some of our favorite products on RVs and some tips and tricks for washing any large vehicles like that. We'll be doing a huge motor coach. I think we might even have to do it outside. I'm so big, I'm not sure that it's going to fit in the wash bay. But that'll be a good one, so
we
don't
fit a
miss
monster
out.
truck in here. I'm sure we can fit an RV, right?
It's a lot longer than a monster truck, though. I think the height isn't the issue. But anyways, we'll see. We'll get it to you either way. Even if we have to wash outside. I'll just make things more interesting. Without further ado, let's get to your questions.
Yeah.
Starting off, 18-month plan asks, how many foaming surface prep coats to remove ceramic 3-in-1? It's a great question, and it's going to depend entirely on how old your ceramic 3-in-1 is, or how long ago you applied your ceramic 3-in-1 to the surface, and then how well you applied it, of course. With proper application, I'd say if it's inside of 6 months, you're going to have to do probably 3, maybe more, foaming surface prep applications to completely strip that down. Ceramic 3-in-1 is a very durable product if you haven't found that out already, and it is quite detergent resistant. So I would recommend pre-diluting at 10-to-1 with foaming surface prep in a spray bottle or our cordless foamer, and hit the surfaces with that. That's going to help cut it down a little bit quicker. But any durable protection, specifically durable ceramic protection, is going to take several applications to remove. If you're using that 10-to-1, it will speed it up. If you're preparing for application of new protection or paint correction, you can always decontaminate as well, which is going to help remove old protection that's left behind with that abrasion. So.
Yep. Then Alan Friedlander asked, ever any discounts on deionizer units? Not specifically on those units, but we do occasionally run a 10% off your entire order sale. So that's another thing you want to make sure that you either keep an eye on our social or sign up for emails so that you're notified when that does go live.
Yeah, and maybe we'll have to pitch that one to the marketing team and see if they want to run a DI promotion. 'Cause that is a hot item all year round for us, but especially this time of year.
Yep.
Let's see, Arthur Martinez asks, have you ever thought about kickstarting a Griot app for easy access? We have kicked around the idea of an app over the years. It's just not something that we have decided to put resources into yet. App development and maintenance can be costly and time consuming, but maybe one day. It has been discussed before.
Yeah. Alan Friedlander again asked, thinking about buying a Griot's DI unit, how many gallons for the final rinse? That really depends on quite a few factors, one being the GPM flow of your hose, another being the size of the vehicle and how long you're spending during that final rinse. So there's no exact answer. If you can kind of get a ballpark based on your GPM flow, which can be easily measured by filling a bucket, set a 30-second timer, fill a bucket, see how many gallons you get, multiply that, whatever. You're able to determine your GPM or the amount of water that you'd be using in that amount of time, and then get a ballpark idea of how much water you're using for your final rinse, and then that would tell you about how many gallons and therefore how many uses of the DI you would get. Pretty complicated. If you want help figuring that out, you can always just reach out to us. Our CSR team would be more than happy to help with some number crunching, but there's no exact answer. I can't say, oh, you usually get this many rinses from the deionizer.
Yeah, it's easy to figure out your GPM with the 5-gallon bucket technique, but as Stevie said, can be tough to determine exactly what that yield is. One way to save deionizer resin and reduce the amount of water you're using for your final rinse is to have your deionizer hooked up to a pressure washer or in line with a pressure washer. Typically, I think the average water output at your exterior spigot of your home is going to be between 8 and 12 gallons per minute. I think we're right around 10 here at our office in Tacoma. That's a lot more than your output of a pressure washer. Even our highest GPM unit is only 2 GPM, so you're cutting that number down significantly, saving a lot of water and using that water more effectively. So that doesn't only save water, but it helps prolong the life of your resin in a deionizer. So they're very good when paired with a pressure washer.
Bart Swanson asked, if the foam cannon doesn't clean the car completely, what should I use for the hand wash? So I thought this was a good one to cover because after you foam on and rinse off, how we talked about in the live yesterday, that's going to be, Wednesday, that's going to be the best, safest option. But say you do that rinse, you still have that lingering grime and whatever, you need to do a hand wash. Ideally, you would foam the soap onto the surface again and then just have a bucket of water that you're rinsing your mitt in. So essentially the same soap that you're using for your foaming wash, but you could definitely throw a couple ounces of Safe Brilliant Finish car wash in the bucket. That's definitely not going to hurt anything. But yeah, the same soap that you're using foamed back on is perfect.
Alan also asked, how much snow foam would you use in the Boss foam cannon? So if you're using the Boss cannon and you're pre-diluting your Brilliant Finish snow foam, you would still use the same 4 ounces that we recommend for the Brilliant Finish cannon. Because of the way that soap is concentrated, it's just the straight over tackle 4 ounces there. So easy translation across both of those cannons.
Yep. Bart again asked, if I use foaming surface wash followed by foaming polygloss, would ceramic washing coat be beneficial? As far as layering, I would say yes and no. Added protection is always great. There's never, I would say, a downfall to that. It's just a matter of getting what you want out of that protection. And so keep in mind when you're layering protection, whatever you put on first, you're going to get the durability of. Whatever you put on top, you're going to see the characteristics of. So just keep that in mind when you are layering protection. If you want ultra durable ceramic protection, ideally that would be the base coat, but then if you put something else on top of that, you're not going to get that ultra hydrophobic effect, and vice versa. You're not going to get the durability of the ceramic if you put it on something a little bit less durable. So just bear that in mind whenever you're layering any type of protection. I would say in this case it wouldn't be necessary. You could do 2 coats of foaming polygloss, in a week apart during your wash processes, or you could do 2 coats of ceramic wash and coat the same way, but I would say that using both of them would probably not be beneficial for you.
Bill Donald asks, what should I do after using my Boss foam cannon? Do I flush it with water and allow it to air dry? Yeah, basically that's going to be best practice. Really, in my experience, flushing it with water is ideal, but at the very least, simply remove the cannon from your reservoir or bottle, allow all of the solution or soap to drip out, and then set it aside to air dry. And ideally, yes, if you have a utility sink in the garage, take it there, rinse it with some hot water, straight through your quick connect on the end. You can just run it, under the faucet through that quick disconnect, and that's going to help rinse it out. Or even just the hose. If you don't have a utility sink, just run the hose water through there for, say, 10 seconds or so is going to be sufficient to get the cannon cleared out. Or you can, either dump your reservoir, or ideally have a spare reservoir so you're not wasting soap solution. Fill that up with clean water and cycle your cannon for 5 to 10 seconds. Suck up some of that clean water through the cannon system, and that's going to help flush it out as well. But at the very least, just pull it out of the wash solution and set it on a towel, or I use a second wash bucket grate that I have. Set it on there, let it air dry, and it'll be ready to go next time.
Yeah. One of the things that's really beneficial that we have set up here is you could purchase an extra jar and cap and just keep water in a separate jar. That way you don't have to worry about dumping your soap out, rinsing it out, filling it with water each time you wash. You just have that separate jar already out. Once you're done, unthread it, pop it on top. You don't even have to connect it. You can just slide the end of the tube into the canister of water, spray it till it's good, and then good to go. That would be a really fast and easy. It doesn't even have to be a jar and cap. You could have, a pitcher of water, or, a measuring cup, or whatever you deem fit. But that's a really fast and easy way to make sure that you're caring for your foaming tools.
Absolutely. Brad L. Hart asks, what's the concern if I live next to a bay of water and the runoff ends up there eventually? Most of our products are quite eco-friendly. In order to make certain environmental or biodegradable claims on our labeling, you have to go through very expensive testing, which we typically have chosen to not go through because those marketing claims may or may not be worth it depending on where you're selling the product. But most all, especially our wash solutions, are going to be quite friendly on the environment and not something that you have to concern with, running off into any local water sources, or if you're near river, bay, like you mentioned, that sort of situation. If you have the means to, washing on grass will help, filter everything out, biofilter as they call it. But typically not much concern, especially if you're just using wash solutions and some of the wheel cleaners and stuff that we offer.
Chris Jordan asked, how much will surface prep work? First time foam cannon user looking to decontaminate, then move on from there. I thought this was a fun question to answer because surface prep will definitely start the process for you. That's going to get all of the above surface soiling and dirt and grime off. It also does a very mild decontamination, but for your first decontamination, typically I would get a little more, a little deeper with that. I can't think of the word that I'm trying to say here, but you know what I mean. So ideally you would use the foaming surface prep, let that do its thing, wash that off. You could even use iron and fallout remover, and that is a foam-on decontamination step that will remove ferrous particles. So any industrial fallout, anything like that that's on the paint, brake dust if it's been transported on a rail or a semi, or if you drive a lot on the freeway or whatever it be. But then we still recommend doing a manual, like actual physical decontamination step with a clay bar or synthetic clay. And that'll make sure that the surface is completely clean and bare and ready for whatever's next, whether that be correction or protection.
Was that Chris's question?
Chris Jordan, yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool. Just making sure. I was reading as you started answering that one. Christian O'Neill asked, what do you recommend to detail and protect the hardtop for a Jeep Wrangler? Fiberglass hardtop that is painted black or coated black. Can I use ceramic wash and coat on the wheels? I have painted wheels, so just wondering, and how is the long-term in durability since the wheels get hot? Both good questions. I'll answer them separately. To detail and protect a hardtop for a Wrangler, I'm probably gonna just wash that as I would the rest of the vehicle, and then to protect it, I would go over the majority of that hardtop with our surface prep cleanser and then coat it in some ceramic 3-in-1 wax. The spray of the ceramic 3-in-1 is going to be easy on kind of the semi textured surface that most hardtops are, and it's also not going to add any gloss or weird finishes to a matte or a satin finish on a hardtop. So that's what I would use to protect it. Detailing it or cleaning it, I would just wash it as you normally would during your wash process. To give your protection a little longer life, that's where the surface prep cleanser comes in. It's just going to help remove any residues or old protection that might impede your fresh protection from adhering properly. And then for the wheels, yes, wash and coat can be used on wheels. Typically, if I'm using wash and coat on the rest of the car, I'll intentionally spray it on the wheels, even in the wheel wells, and it does protect those well. As far as durability, I'd say it's at least going to last you wash to wash. You're probably going to get about a month out of it on a wheel surface. The heat cycling is going to wear it off a little faster than the paint, but you're still going to get good protection there. One step up from that is going to be ceramic speed shine, or for best durability on wheels, either ceramic all-in-one, ceramic 3-in-1 wax, or ceramic liquid wax. All good ways to get pretty nice durable protection on your wheels.
Yeah. David Boyce asked, I have the Griot's carpet and upholstery cleaner. Can it be used on headliner stains? It absolutely can. The important thing with headliners is to make sure that A, you don't oversaturate, and B, you don't agitate too heavily. You don't want to separate the fabric from the adhesive that's holding it up. And you definitely don't want any nasty water stains to replace whatever stain that you are currently trying to remove. So don't ever saturate, don't scrub too hard. Spray the cleaner. I would spray it even onto the towel instead of directly onto the headliner, and then dab gently. Yeah. Other than that, it's great to clean those stains. Seen it work magic on greasy handprints from mechanics.
Yeah. I just realized I just answered two different people's questions in the same question there.
I wasn't going to call you out, but
Cindy Nero, if you're watching, the second part of that question was your question. We got some weird formatting layout from Excel here, so I read those as the same one, but apologize for that. Cindy Nero will give you a bonus. Your next question was, what's a good product to use to clean and protect the wheel wells? So one of our more underrated products is our undercarriage spray. It's going to be primarily dressing and protectant for wheel wells. To clean them, I really like Foaming Surface Prep 10-to-1. Our Citrus All-Purpose Cleaner is another good solution, or our Foaming Tire Cleaner is another one of my favorites. When I'm using that on the tires, I almost always will spray it into the wheel wells. All three of those are great options for cleaning your wheel wells. Once you have them nice and clean, coat them with a good coat of undercarriage spray, and that'll help darken all the materials under there and keep them protected as well. So you can even use, if you don't have undercarriage spray, I've used, ceramic speed shine or ceramic 3-in-1 kind of as a rinse aid in wheel wells before to add some protection and prevent the need to necessarily get in there with a towel or take the wheels off to get to the suspension and whatnot.
Yeah, foaming polygloss also surprisingly does a pretty good job.
Yeah, all three of those you're not going to get much enhancement though. So if you're looking to darken a black plastic, wheel well liner, undercarriage spray, our engine braid dressing or trim and detail coating are also good products for dressing wheel wells. All
right, then David Wilson asked, just getting here late, how do you test TDS? There are a few different ways, one being a strip that'll give you a general idea of your TDS range, and the other is a TDS meter like the one that we sell that'll give you an actual reading of parts per million, and that'll tell you where you're at on the scale of I can wash my car with no problem to I don't want to do that, it's going to want to make me cry. And then we have solutions if you are on the end of it's going to want to make you cry. So that's how.
All right, David Boyce asks, I have Griot's Garage carpet and upholstery cleaner.
I just answered that, silly.
Well, getting lost in these questions. Thanks for keeping me honest there, Stevie.
All right. Go ahead.
Dr. Deek, so how do you use soap with a metering tip? Really simple. You have to use all of the Boss foaming system liquids if you want to get the utility from the metering tip system for the Boss foam cannon. Those liquids are all developed to be a certain viscosity so that they will pull well into the cannon through those tiny orifices in the metering tips. So if you're using any other thick soap solution, you're not going to get enough extraction into the cannon to give you good foam. So you pretty much have to use the Boss foaming system to utilize those metering tips. And that's just as simple as threading the bottle directly onto your cannon after you've selected and inserted the proper metering tip into the pickup ball, or filling your reservoir with whichever Boss foaming system liquid you're planning on using. So that's Boss foaming surface wash, Boss foaming surface prep, and Boss polygloss or foaming polygloss. So all three of those are the Boss foaming system liquids that will work very well with the metering tips.
Yeah. Dr. Deek also said, okay, Sam, Stevie, and Julie, let's make this simple. All purchase the Boss foam cannon. Dare I challenge you to give another Boss cannon to another enthusiast in the chat? Well, we accept your challenge. We already gave one away last night. And what do you say we give another again? Well, we gave 2 Brilliant Finish enthusiast kits and 1 Boss cannon complete kit.
The Boss
Ultimate
specification there.
Yeah. So we'll give another Ultimate kit away today. How about that, Dr. Deek? Just for you.
Who's it going to? Are you
I don't know
announcing
yet.
it right now?
No,
or,
no, no, no,
We're
no.
waiting. We're waiting.
We're giving
you gotta
it
watch
away.
till the end, guys.
Yeah.
Gonna make you wait.
Keep you around.
Dr. Deek also asked, this is a good question. We hear it a lot, so I'm gonna, even though we've already answered a couple of his, gonna answer this one. Dwell time for foaming washes, ? That's gonna depend on the scenario that you're in, but typically all of our washes that are designed specifically for foaming tools in foaming surface wash, foaming surface prep, or Brilliant Finish snow foam, you're gonna be able to let those dwell for anywhere from 5 to even up to 10 minutes, as long as you're not washing out in warm weather, I would say. Obviously, if you're out in warm weather, if it's really 70s or above, or you're in direct sun, you're gonna have a much shorter dwell period. It's usually gonna be a couple minutes at that point, maybe up to 5 at the most if you're out in the heat. But if you're in 65 to 70 range or doing it indoors, you can easily get that full, longer 8 to 10 minute dwell time. But ideally, you don't want to let the soaps dry on the surface. As long as the surface isn't hot, if they begin to dry, you're not going to get yourself into many problems. But if that surface is hot and your soap starts to dry, sometimes you can get some spotting there. So try to avoid that. But long dwell time, that's one of the big benefits of using a foam cannon. You're getting that heavier, richer foam, which is going to allow you to get a longer dwell time.
Yep. This is a tricky question from Enthusiast. Are dilutions the same in a foam cannon versus a foam gun? Not specifically calling out which foaming tools, whether they're ours or not, makes this question a little bit more complicated. But it also depends on the soap, even if you are referring to, say, our foam cannons versus our foaming sprayer. So it really depends on the soap, because like Brilliant Finish Snow Foam, you're going to use 4 ounces in the pressure washer cannon, 4 ounces in the foaming sprayer, etc. But with the Boss foaming solutions that we were talking about earlier, it's going to be 1.6 ounces in the Boss foam cannon, it's going to be, I believe, 2 ounces in the foaming sprayer, and there's some variation there. So it does really depend. I would say depending on whether it's our tool or another company's, judge it based on that and based on the soap that you're using. Hopefully it's not another company's because you like actual good foam.
Oh. All of our liquid products that are intended for use in cannons will typically have the dilution broken down by tool. Again, can't help you if you're using somebody else's stuff. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you need therapy.
I'm just kidding. Ours. But the other difference that you'll get is the solution coming out of the foaming tool. With a foam cannon, you're diluting what is being pulled through much less because the lower GPM output of a pressure washer. The foaming sprayer, what is getting pulled through and mixing in with the water is going to be more diluted because of the fact that you have a higher flow running through that tool. So that's a lot of the reason why you're going to get a more watery foam from a foaming sprayer. So a few differences there as well.
Yeah. Jay Maynard asked, how far away from the car should the sprayer be when rinsing? I'd say about 2 to 3 feet. You agree with that?
Yeah, I get closer in some scenarios. Really, as long as the paint's in good shape and you're not using any narrower than a 15-degree nozzle, you're going to be safe. Like situations where there's stuck on bug guts or bug droppings, bird poop, that sort of thing. I've gotten quite close, within 6 to 12 inches of the paint. And as long as the paint's not peeling, you don't have any peeling decals or anything like that, you're going to be totally fine.
I'm just laughing you said pretty close. You're like 2 inches apart, and you're like 6 to 12 inches.
Well, I mean, I've gotten closer than that.
Pretty close.
We all have different forms of measurement
yeah.
around here, but I've gotten a little closer than that for
About
sure.
12 inches.
I mean, I'll be honest. There's some times when I'm lazy and.
Sorry, I did not mean that in any other way, but Matt cracking up is killing me right now. Okay, anyways.
I have gotten quite close when I'm being lazy and don't want to have to come back to surface prep, like bug guts off. But I know I'm working on good paint, so I'm not risking sending any paint chips flying across the driveway. Let's see, have there been any thoughts about acidic shampoo in the Griot's line, or are there thoughts about acidic soaps? In my experience, I haven't seen many acidic car wash solutions out there in the industry. You'll see those if you're going through a touchless car wash tunnel in a lot of situations, but typically, the more like strip wash type soaps or stronger pre-wash soaps are going to be highly alkaline, not acidic. And there's reasons for that. I mean, acid or more acidic solutions are going to be a lot more likely to etch surfaces than an alkaline solution are. So personally, I wouldn't use an acidic soap. I've never seen any reason to when you have a product like foaming surface prep. The more acidic a product is, the less forgiving it's going to be in terms of how quickly you have to get it off the surface. Using something acidic on a hot surface or in direct sun is a nightmare and can cause a lot of problems. So personally, I would stay away from them. We don't have any plans to develop any acidic car wash solutions right now anyways. But typically what you're going to be working with is alkaline when it comes to actual washing.
Yes. Jay Maynard asked, will a second application or more of Boss foam cut through the road film, or is hand washing best? After you do that initial foam on and rinse, I would recommend hand washing. Anything that's stuck on more than that, you're going to have a way easier time removing via hand than multiple applications. And a lot of times that's stuck on so much that it may not come off with those touchless washing passes.
Yep. Gene Foster asked, I have a 3100 PSI gas pressure washer. Can I use the Boss foam cannon with that? And when the foaming is done, can I rinse the surface with that same PSI pressure washer and a 40-degree tip? Yes, you absolutely can. One of the pressure washers we offer is 3,000 PSI. Like we talked about in the live, the marketed PSI is going to be the peak when you very first pull the trigger on that gun. The actual working PSI is typically going to be, depending on the pressure washer, 3 to 500 or 600 PSI lower than what's marketed. So at 3,100 marketed PSI, you're probably going to be more in the 2,500, 2,600 range, which is more than safe, and yes, can be effectively used with the Boss foam cannon. I'd recommend the 1.25 millimeter orifice or jet, which comes installed stock out of the box for the Boss cannon.
Mr. Tom Collins had a couple questions. One, he wanted to know, did we cover doing wheels and tires before foaming? I don't remember if we specifically called that out yesterday in the live, but we did wash my wheels and tires prior, and that is a good process. Make sure that you clean your engine bay and wheels and tires before you wash the vehicle. He also had a very interesting question that I think would be fun for us to talk about. He said, I can't get great foam like that, but I've also got a cheap electric pressure washer and really hard water. Which of these would you say is more important to upgrade for better results? A better pressure washer or something to improve water quality? My opinion would probably be the water quality first. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, for sure. No, I agree with that. I mean, you're going to get more value improving the water quality, and that your foam's going to get better, and you're also going to be less likely to get water spots. Your soap solutions are going to work more effectively, and so on. So I think that would be a more worthy investment. I misquoted during the live. It's $2.99, not $3.99 for our water deionizer, which, when you're talking about all the benefits that you get from it, is a very worthwhile amount of money to spend. Specifically, if you have hard water, we're spoiled here with pretty low TDS, so in a lot of situations you don't necessarily need a deionizer, although it does help. But if you have high TDS, would definitely recommend the deionizer. Or finding a good middle ground pressure washer and upgrading both isn't a bad option either.
Yeah. Tip Callahan asked, lost my spot. Hello. Will you offer more orifice sizes? We don't currently have any plans to. We have the 2.5 and the 4.0 for the Boss pressure washer nozzles, but we'll consider it. We'll think about it. Decide whether we think that's a good idea or not. We
try to pick two that would serve a broad range of pressure washers, and from what we found in all the research that we did, those are kind of the sweet spot. If you only have two, inventorying too many SKUs can cause problems sometimes, so we do always try to be sensitive to that, believe it or not. Supply chain team, if you're watching, we do think of you. But yeah, the 2.5 is going to be great for anything under, I think it's 1.8 GPM, and then the 4.0 for anything above. It is important to make sure you're buying the right orifice size for your specific pressure washer. Same as if you're going to buy nozzles or tips elsewhere besides us, because you can, with an electric pressure washer, either cause pump issues or cause the breaker on your plug or the breaker at your outlet to trip, because you're essentially preventing the proper amount of flow, which is going to run the pump harder and cause problems there if you're using too small of an orifice or too large in some cases. So keep that in mind.
Yeah. Travis Human asked, so I'm kind of lazy and leave the foam cannon on my foaming surface wash very often. Shame on you. I'm just kidding. Seems to foul up the metering tip. Any advice for cleaning and clearing that out? My advice would be to pull that mesh foaming pill out and soak that in warm to hot water. That'll help loosen up some of that gunk, and then rinse, agitate if you need to, continue to rinse until you clear that out. And then don't do that anymore. Come on, man.
Come on, man. Monty Hagenston. So what's the best PSI for a foam cannon? That's somewhat subjective, but there has been a lot of research done out there, and based on a lot of that research and from what we found in our own use practices, is that 2,000 psi and 2 GPM range, within a little bit on either side of that, you're going to be okay. But that's really optimal for a lot of reasons, foam production being one of them. And then when you're getting a higher GPM output, 1.8 to 2.2 or so, you're getting a faster rinse, a more effective rinse. You don't have to spend quite as much time going over the surface, which makes for a more effective clean and a faster result or a faster process. So really that 2 GPM ballpark, and then the 1900 to 2200 psi or 2300 psi I would say is optimal. Of course you can go higher than that and you can get away with a little lower than that, but from what we've found, that is really right in the sweet spot.
Yes. All right, so I'm gonna answer this question, and then while I'm doing that, you gotta pick a winner.
Making me pick this time?
Always.
All right, fine.
All right, so Todd Page asked, are you going to offer caps for the Boss jars? Even though I don't store mixed solution, I end up tipping one over while switching between them. I also wash multiple cards at a time. We don't sell the caps separately, but we do sell a jar and cap, so that could be a solution. Other than that, we may have some extras potentially laying around, so you could always reach out to customer service and see if we do at that time. I think we probably have 1 or 2 that we could, send you out because you are participating in our lives, and we appreciate that. But after that, you gotta buy the jar and cap, unfortunately. Maybe we'll offer just the cap in the future, but at this point, you gotta buy the jar and the cap.
All right, I've got my winner.
Okay.
Brian Dack. He said, I've never used foam. He bought our pump-up foamer for tires and asked if it will work with car wash soap. Brian, don't worry about using your pump-up foamer because you've got a sweet foaming system kit coming your way. Email us at winners@griotsgarage.com with your mailing address, and we'll get that sent out to you. But foam is a great way. I love that you're trying to get into using foam. So we'll get you set up with the full meal deal so that you can use it on all of the surfaces and get all of those awesome benefits. So pump-up foamer is still a great supplemental tool to use. It's great on tires, engine bays, wheels, really all of those kind of supplemental surfaces that you're cleaning during a wash or a more thorough detail. So don't get rid of that. You can actually use it with the foaming system liquids that we'll be sending you in your kit. So great setup.
Heck yeah.
All right, so do we have time for a couple more questions here? I think just a couple. Any expert advice for black chrome wheels? Black chrome can be tricky. I would say don't let them get super dirty, especially if you have heavy dusting brake pads. Make sure you're washing frequently so that they're not getting a lot of buildup that's going to lead to brake dust deposits, because getting those off of chrome can be difficult without scratching the chrome or marring up the chrome around those deposits, because really no matter how you clean that off, it's going to be tough to not scratch that chrome. Black chrome usually shows scratches more. And then keep a really good coat of protection on them. Black chrome is a nice, easy surface to apply protection to. Granted, your wheels aren't crazy intricate, but I would get them really clean. You can decontaminate them with some clay if you need to, and then put on a good coat of ceramic 3-in-1 wax.
Or ceramic metal polish.
Yeah, or ceramic metal polish for sure. Reapply that every 3 to 4 months is what I would recommend to keep real good durable protection on those.
Yeah. My favorite tip for maintaining protection on wheels is after you rinse your cleaner off, spray ceramic 3-in-1, for example, on, give it about 30 seconds, and then rinse it again. Good to go.
Yeah, awesome way to keep it topped up.
Yes.
Pierre Wicks asks, is maximum protection from the sun elements to use ceramic and put a final coat of the polygloss over it? You didn't already answer that one, right? I think it was a similar coating one that you answered earlier, or double coat. So yeah, ceramic 3-in-1 or our new ceramic liquid wax. Those are our 2 most durable protectants. Instead of polygloss over the top of those, we always recommend topping ceramic with a ceramic supporting product, like ceramic speed shine or ceramic wash and coat. So those are both gonna preserve the great hydrophobic nature of your ceramic base layer while also helping to add life and protection to that, and protecting from the sun and other elements.
Yeah. T-Dub does ... Does what? Asked, can we get a good foaming ceramic? Unfortunately, the chemistry of those two do not play well. So you may notice other ceramic soaps on the market where they foam a lot, but they don't provide protection, or they provide protection, but they don't produce a lot of foam. We tried our hardest to get one that provided exemplary protection and still had some foam to it, and that's where we got with ceramic wash and coat. So you do still get some foam. It is going to dissipate rather quickly, but that's just because of that ceramic protection in there, and it doesn't really play well with the surfactants that cause the foam.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, it's a good balance, and like Stevie said, it's tough to have, or maybe impossible in some ways, to have really good foam and really good protection. So we try to find a good balance there. Personally, I'd prefer good protection over really good foam. So trade-offs. Rachel Drives Clean Cars says, I really struggle with my foaming surface wash evaporating quickly on cars with Griot ceramic products. This doesn't happen as much on other cars. Working time is greatly reduced. What are your thoughts? Our ceramic products are just so good and hydrophobic that it tends to flush the foam off the car a little faster. We've seen that too. You're gonna typically not need as much working time if you have really good protection on the surface, because there's not gonna be as much dirt and soiling buildup. I've never noticed it to the point where it's an issue that's causing any problems. I just shorten my dwell time a little bit as you notice the product moving off the surface. Either reapply more or move on to your next step. Because with good ceramic there, you shouldn't need as much dwell time because there's not going to be as much dirt on the surface ideally, especially this time of year.
Yeah. Tony DiBartolo asked, I use snow foam, then ceramic wash and coat, then at night I put on ceramic 3-in-1 wax. We good? We good. Oh, we good, Tony DiBartolo.
We real good. Oh, love it. Let's see. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Yep. That is all of the questions, or at least all the ones that we didn't already answer during the live event the other night. So thank you guys, all guys and gals, for always submitting an awesome amount of good and engaging questions and participating with us. We greatly appreciate it. Again, if you aren't already, be sure to go down below and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next live event on July 17th at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And check us out on social media. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram so you don't miss events, sales, promos. Don't forget that code LIQUID20 for 20% off all liquid car care.
Yep. And remember, if you're at Back to the 50s this weekend, go wish Jeff Brown a happy birthday.
Yes, can't miss the happy birthday for Mr. Jeff. Well, thank you all, and have fun in your garage.